Namaskar, everyone. Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, grand rising. A very warm welcome to our Blue Star Global Conference of 2024. Of course, today we are speaking about the topic of environmental awareness and sustainable communities. And so let's take a moment to just come into centering. The excitement is building in the space in the temple here as we have more and more of our global community joining us. And so there's a very beautiful feeling where we are, and I'm sure that we can extend that beautiful feeling to all of those who are joining virtually. So let's take a moment to just come into present, focusing on the breath. Let's place our feet firmly on the earth below us. And let's come into a space of centeredness. Let's take a moment to breathe into the brow. There's an important chakra there from which we navigate the world around us. Let's breathe into that space. Let's feel the beautiful silence that can come when we focus there. And let's take a moment to breathe into the heart space. That's a collective space. And let's find one another there. And let us remember as we do this that we exist in the field of the Master. We exist in the field of light that has been created by the Master and is being held and supported and reinforced by the Master. Let us take a moment for gratitude. Gratitude for the gift of this moment. Gratitude for the gift of one another. Gratitude for the gift of the earth. For the gift of the elements. For the fire power. For the water, the cooling of the water. For the uplifting of the air. And for the groundedness of the earth. And with that groundedness, let us breathe into the belly, coming into gross breathing, feeling the weight of the physical body, feeling the connection to Mother Earth, and holding Mother Earth in our love, remembering that we are one. That we may see the earth as something from which we exist, something from which we take to feed and nourish our bodies. But we are one with the spirit of the earth. And it all exists from that consciousness space, from that infinite space. Taking a moment again to breathe into the physical, seeing if vitality is needed there. We'll open our session today with the sacred sound of Om, exhaling completely, inhaling deeply. Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. And of course, thank you, Guruji, for holding us in your field. So we've been on quite the journey so far. We've been on this journey of discovering and uncovering our consciousness space. So we've been on this journey of remembering that we are infinite beings that have come into this space of limitation because we exist with an ego, an identity. We exist in a body. That right there is that contraction of consciousness. We know that we are infinite self in expression, but there are layers of opening and uncovering and unlearning and discovery to be done in order to get back to that space, which is our destiny. Yesterday, we had the excitement of speaking about centers of spaces of light that we can create wherever we are, starting with us. So the focus now is on us. It begins with us. Creating a light in our world begins with us. And we know that we are bound by a karmic play that's happening, but how do we share that light? And the excitement of yesterday continues into today as we think about our environmental awareness going beyond just thinking about our own existence and thinking about the fact that we exist on an earth space. We exist in a physical space that is nourishing us and supporting us. And how are we going to, how much are we aware, or how much are we conscious of that? So we know that we're connected to this world and we have a sacred bond with the environment. And there's a beautiful quote that came up yesterday where Guru was speaking about our connection to this world. This was from 40 Days in 2011. And I'll let you take a moment to look at it. The same spirit that moves within us, that same source of all energy within us, is that supreme consciousness. It's also at the core of our being, and it's also in our natural environment. The entire living world, all of nature, is an expression of that same consciousness within us. So that's what we are going to be exploring today. We know that when we operate with oneself, it has to include the natural environment. We've heard Guruji speak about this time and time again, his belief and his commitment to bringing people into healing and restoration that is totally in harmony with nature without destroying its ecology. Because we know that we're intimately connected to nature. All of nature is an expression of that same consciousness that is within us. When we're operating from that oneself, it has to include the natural environment, or we're not truly experiencing a space of oneness. And it begins with us and our level of consciousness. So before we can truly appreciate the environment outside of us, we know that we have to actually experience and appreciate what's happening with our own internal relationship with the environment that's happening from that space within. And by bringing our own awareness to what's happening within us, that's the only way that we can truly start to understand and value the space outside of us and the environment in which we live. Now, it's absolutely beautiful because we've been exploring the fact that we have tools in the space. We explored that on our second day together. We know that we have the antakarana, the inner instruments. We have an ego, an identity. We have the mind, we have the manas, and that's our ability to think and reason. And then we have intelligence, of course. And so from our mana space, we're operating through the senses and elements. So having created this mental field, we have the powers of the senses. So we might think that, we look through our eyes, and we smell with our nose, and we taste with our mouth, and we touch with our hands, but there is a power that is actually operating our senses, that is operating through that mental field. So our senses are actually empowered from inside, and it's empowered from that energy field from which we exist. So the more that we come into awareness of the mental field from which we're operating, and the energy field from which we're operating, the more we can come into that understanding of our subtle self, and the more that we can come into actually experiencing the fact that we are empowering our senses. We are infinite self that are powering up our senses and helping us navigate the world around us. Because when we come to that realization, then we realize that our physical form, of course, is made up of elements. And so we are not the elements, but our body is made up of the elements, and those are the same elements that are holding this earth in the way that it is. And all of a sudden, we can see the intimate connection between our one self, our infinite self, and the infinite space that has also created the earth on which we live. And when we start to hold that in our one self, how can we not look after it? And how can we not be so passionate about caring about this earth on which we live? And so when we bring more of this consciousness to the experience, the environment around us becomes an extension of this experience happening in our mental space through our manas. And when the senses become more refined, then we don't abuse the world anymore. We begin to honor all of the elements. We begin to honor the fact that the earth around us, when we see and we look into nature and we see the elements at play, we begin to see the intimate connection between that and our own body. And that we know that the health of our body, the health of this physical, it's made up of the elements, and the health of this physical is absolutely interdependent on the health of our ecosystem and the health of our planet as well. So if we don't spend the time to think about and reflect on how are we actually looking after this earth? How are we actually contributing positively to the ecosystems that are around us? How can we be expected to survive in our best health? And nature's intelligence is all around us, and that should be guiding everything that we do, because it has every resource around us to help keep us in our optimal health. It provides us with the food that we need to be able to eat, food from the earth. It provides us with a natural rhythm that we can follow in the circadian rhythms. The wisdom of nature shows us so much wisdom about how we should be treating with this physical form. And then how can we take that exploration and that understanding, and how can we move that into thinking about the possibilities of living this way? And not just living this way ourselves, but how do we live this way with one another? Because as we spoke about and explored yesterday, doing this together amplifies our power. It amplifies our ability to rely on one another to be able to actually make this happen. So how do we bring this into sustainable community? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go and live in the woods, because there are lots of examples that are awesome about urban areas and urban practices around sustainability that we can be doing right in our own homes. So that's the excitement of today. I know we're going to have another excellent exploration. We're going to have another excellent discussion with one another. And with that, I humbly pass it over to Guruji, who I know will bring even more light to this subject. So thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Guru. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Shreyaji. Namaskar, everybody. I'm happy to see all of you today. I think we are around 66 on Zoom, so that pleases me. And we may have more on the Facebook and YouTube, so warm welcome. So I'm looking forward to another exciting day today. This subject is always fascinating to me. Now, you know the story that we are spiritual beings in a human experience. But what does it mean to be in the human experience? We've been speaking about spiritual being and the powers that we have and the tools we have and the consciousness we have and the energy that we can feel. But we're living in a human form. A lot of us take it for granted that we can just put food in the mouth and enjoy it, and then something happens inside and we get some energy and it comes out at the other side, But do we really understand what is happening there? Do we really understand what is happening there? And do we really appreciate the form that we carry as an intelligent body? Do you know that there is intelligence in every cell? Every cell is intelligent, and every cell has its own little brain in the nucleus of the cell. And the cells burn they have a burner in them, mitochondria. How much do you understand about that? Mitochondria has its own genetic structure. So it doesn't depend on your genes. And the human genome is absolutely interesting. The DNA that is in the nucleus of the cell. Absolutely interesting. You have the genes there, and you have the DNA switches that can fire the genes differently. We have only learned that relatively recently, that we can change the genetic expression simply by the way we behave. So if we behave like the ancestors, we will experience the same kind of things as the ancestors, the same way that genes operate. And if we are able to change the genetic structure, the way the genes fire or express, if we are able to change that through these DNA switches, then we need not get the diseases they had. We need not have the genetic issues that they had. And then we have about 98% of the genetic of the DNA structure, 98%. Then you have proteins in the chain in the nucleus. And they carry information. And they have power. They are brain, as it were. The 98% is what makes us different. Why coffee will affect someone and not another. Why some people can live with bigger spleen, the divers in Indonesia, and others can't. Their lifestyle, living conditions, created a different gene expression. And also the way the other DNA operates. So it's extremely interesting what the body is, right? But today we want to speak about our relationship with nature, or in fact the body's relationship with nature and the soul's experience of nature through the physical body. You take your human senses for granted, I don't. I absolutely enjoy looking through the eyes because I'm aware that I look through eyes, that I smell with a nose, that I touch with my skin and with my hands and with my feet. I am aware of every one of the senses and that I can empower them. I can energize them. And I can live at high sensitivity in every sense experience. Why? Because of the development of consciousness and the control of the energy field. When I look at those people who are fully primal, fully human, their senses are quite sharp because of survival instincts. The smell, they rely on the smell, the taste, the touch. They know all the plants better than we do. They can smell better than we do. They can see better than we do. They can hear better than we do. Why? They're fully human, but they don't have the divinity. They don't have the control of the mind. Nor do they have the control of the senses. So you don't want to be like that. So to be fully human is really to experience the world fully. They have no control. They are greedy, lustful. No kind of emotional sensitivity. But they are fully sensitive through all their senses. But we human can do it differently. The more we develop the consciousness, the more we can control the mind and the emotion and the vitality whilst enjoying the whole of the senses. But that requires consciousness development, and that's why we've been emphasizing that. So wouldn't you like to enjoy the sensory experience just like the animals do? Who have super hearing. Do you want to enjoy that experience of being fully human, but also divine in the human experience? That's our capability. But here's the thing, that when you begin at the developmental stage, you might get caught in a particular chakra and develop your senses in a very partial way. Your smell might be more developed, your sight might be more developed, depending on where you're operating, or your taste might be more developed, or your smell might be more developed. But you may not be balanced at all because you're operating more from a partial kind of choice. So when you start developing the consciousness, you're not fully divine and not fully human. So what we need to do is to develop more awareness. That's what I try to guide you to do. Develop more awareness to see where you're stuck and how you're partially developing and how unbalanced your human experience is. That's why I'm telling you all the time, no, use the full column. Express through every chakra. Operate through every sensory power you have. Operate through it. Learn to know it. And develop a more multidimensional awareness. So the goal would be when you can be fully divine and fully human at the same time. So though you appear like an animal in your experience when you are eating because you're really enjoying the food, but you can detach from it. Or you're fully experiencing the smells when you walk in nature, but you can detach from it. And you can fully enjoy all the senses the more developed your consciousness is. But to develop the consciousness, to do that, you need to understand what manas is. The animals, they're operating from the manas because they have no choice. They can't go higher, so they're operating from a low consciousness of the manas. Manas only with the physical world. So how about learning how to improve the consciousness and operate through every sense, every sensory power that you have with full awareness, full focus, full control, and that's what we call living fully and masterfully. So that is what I would like you to explore. When you get to the manas chakra and you begin to combine manas with the throat, which is about hearing, manas with the heart is about skin sensitivity and touch, manas with the belly, then you heighten the seeing, manas with the sacral, then you heighten the taste, and manas with the root, and then you heighten the smell. And when you begin to develop more consciousness, you can refine the senses. You can enjoy the senses from a deeper way. Because every one of the senses and every one of the elements, they have a subtle aspect to them. In yoga, we call the senses indriyas. And we have jnanendriyas. So these... They are receiving the information through the senses. The jnana means knowledge, so we are gathering knowledge through the senses. So we operate with those sensory neurons. And then when we move, we speak, we grasp, we move the feet, then sexual action, excretion, These are also 5 motor powers. So they are called karm, which means action, karmendriyas. So you have these pranic powers that are acting through the senses to receive information and to act upon it, to relate to the world. So how developed are you that you are aware of how you're receiving information through the senses and what you're doing with it and how you're relating? Are you able to control how you receive information? Are you able to shut off senses that you don't need and just activate those that you need? So this kind of self-control is important. This kind of awareness is important. Now the magic is, if you can locate this manas, which I've been teaching you to do, focus on the front. It's in the brain. The manas power is in the brain. It is the Agya chakra, the chakra of the brow. But that chakra has 2 aspects. It has a bindu aspect, which is an internal journey, and it has a manas aspect, which is for interacting with the world. So it's nice to appreciate that when you become spiritually awakened, you can get more of the bindu experience, which is higher consciousness of self, and you can get the manas experience, which is the experience in the earth plane. And if you can locate that, which I've been guiding you to do, and sometimes begging you to come into the experience. I can't find another word. But yeah, coaxing you, urging you, trying to come to the manas, come to the manas. Some people get so caught in the bindu that they don't want to come to the manas, and then they lose the energization of the whole nervous system. Because you get so caught in what's happening at the inner, and you think that the inner is the greatest thing. When I came out of the 40 days, as I've said to you, I got so high in terms of my brain that I didn't want to live anywhere else, and I thought that's the way yogis who are into the crown, that's how they live. So everything that I do, I stay up in the upper brain, and I thought that's what I have to do for the rest of my life. But then I realized that I never liked being dependent on people. I don't want to sit in my room and just sit around and let everybody do everything. No, and I don't want to borrow $1 from someone or ask someone for something. No, I don't want to do that. I'm never like that. I like to work hard. So I'm thinking, now what do I do? And then one day I decided, you know what, let me help to clean the space around me. And I started to swipe the grass and help clean around. And then I thought, in doing this, I have to focus on the outside. So I started focusing on the body and really energizing the body, because I always loved activity. Previous to that, I always loved working hard. So when I started to do this, I'm saying, but I'm still feeling the ecstasy in my head, and I'm still able to do this. So let me work a little harder. So I started to apply more power to what I was doing, and then, oh my God, it was just such joy, because I could live in 2 worlds at the same time. I could live in a world being totally detached and observant, and yet I could exert activity to the fullest, but not in a primal sense, but in a different sense. So this was exciting for me, and that spurred me back into activity, whilst not losing the beautiful experience of the crown. And that's why I got so involved in the world, continued my academic education, got involved in the industrial world of all places, and totally happy in manifesting this energy in the outer world. And I thought, I need to do this because I don't feel complete. And I don't want people to say when I'm teaching about spirituality that you never lived in the world. You don't know what it is out here. You're speaking out from the clouds. And I said, no, not me. I'm going to be right down in the ditches with you. And as an engineer, I worked with the people on the floor. It was my best experience to be with them. Not to sit in an office and pass an order, but to be down in the machines. I did mechanical engineering. Be down with the machines with them, understand how it works, and stay with them. Understand how to dismantle something, how they did it, and how to put it back together, and how to maintain the machine. And this was very exciting for me because I felt I could see the beauty of the inner world and the outer world. And what I did most, because I became a manager ultimately, was my relationships with people. I always tried to make everybody happy. And I worked in a steel plant. So I would walk the floor every day and talk with everybody, knew everybody, and so my day would be full of happiness. And so I totally enjoyed my life in the industrial field. But of course, after a while, I lost my passion for it. And then the pangs of teaching people again how to live in both worlds and how to stay centered and how to develop the inner power. So that's when I got back into the Blue Star and said, this is the vehicle for which I'm going to do this. So I'm going to work in a place where there are no unions, because in the industry I work, unions were strong. And management, as you know, and unions would have all these fights. So I said, I want to create a non-profit organization that cares for people and helps develop people, and that's how I got caught in the Blue Star experience. So I learned how to live in two worlds fully. But throughout my whole career in the Blue Star, I always held the consciousness of well-being, because I love nature. I was born in a farming community, cane farming, vegetable farming, animal farming. And I was totally involved in that as a young boy. So I always loved nature. And I always thought at one time when I wanted to do medicine, I thought, okay, if I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor involved in natural health. And so when I came into the Blue Star teaching, I thought to myself, I need to have a health and wellness center, and I need to have and I thought an estate where we can learn about the environment and we can live in harmony with nature. But I didn't at that time thought about the whole ecological community and working with nature in such a way that we can blend and bond with nature. But now I've learned so much through all my experiences of life and teaching that I can see now that I want to be in a community that is full of nature. I want to live completely in harmony with nature. I want to be able to grow food that is natural and not genetically modified and not grown in impoverished soils. So I need to be in a place where the water is clean, where the air is clean, where the soil is regenerated, where plants grow up with more consciousness, because plant is a conscious world. Where plants can grow up as happy plants, where animals can live as happy animals, and where we can blend into the environment in a perfect way as part of our spirituality. So that's where my passion is. How do we create sustainable communities where we don't have a high carbon footprint, and where we can use renewable energy, and where we can be completely in harmony with animals and plant kingdom? And for me, that's real heaven on earth. So that's where I feel that the spiritual message on healing can become more powerful. And we can, for me, it's the future. For me, it's the future, where we learn to live in harmony, not only with each other, but with nature as well. So part of this experience has to be developing that awareness of the environment as part of us. Because we cannot be perfectly well if our environment is not perfectly well. We cannot live in toxic environments and then believe that we're going to be fully well. And then, from gerontology, that this human animal was designed to live at least at 120 years. Some people have made it. But we can hardly live up to 60, 70 or 70 or 80. And a few of us make the century. But how can we come back into a place where we can live without stress, where we can live in happiness? And that's why I'm saying that we need to think of centers in nature, not only in the cities. And even if we live in the city, can we make it as natural as possible? Even if you cannot move out of the city, can we still make the spaces as natural as possible? And then the other thing to this is sacred geometry. Do you know that the buildings, they need to be aligned in a particular way to the earth, to the sun? And do you know that how you construct a building, that's how we constructed this one. Do you know that the design of the building is also a way of trapping energy into it? So when you have a certain design of a building and you develop an energy inside of it, that it can enhance your building the energy inside of it and keeping the energy inside of it. That science in India is called Vastu. And of course, the Chinese have another way of working with energy in homes and buildings, Feng Shui. So these are ancient models that I'm also looking forward to use in Brazil. So there are two things here. But I've been teaching you already how to sharpen the Manas chakra and how to work with the Manas with the other chakras. I'm not sure how much time I'll have to do that today because those were the tools we were developing in the session gone by. But I want to talk about when you listen to what I'm saying about being fully human and divinely so, what happens to your thinking? How impacted are you by that? And I know that time will slip away with us, but I also want to offer to you the Brindavan dream. So I'm going to spend a few minutes with you talking about your thoughts about developing the manas and your understanding of manas and bindu and sharpening your senses and not neglecting your senses. I want to talk a little bit about that with our community. We'll talk more about it later. But I also want to explore the possibility in all the countries that we operate in of having a relationship with the environment and spirituality and developing our senses in such a way, our spiritual senses, our human senses, in such a way that we can have the most harmonious relationship with the earth and life. And there's yet another one. I'm not sure when I'm going to speak about this one, but it's the circadian rhythm. It's how our lives are influenced by the sun. Not only the sun, that's the circadian rhythm, but the moon and the other planets. But I'm not sure I can do it in this one, but it leaves a promise for later on that astronomy and astrology are also extremely important in the harmonizing process, understanding life purpose and relationship with planets. But in nature, it is so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But let me know how this impacts you. We'll have a conversation now. And then I want to speak about the Brindavan project, which is important to us here. It's real, it's moving, it's dynamic. We have achieved so much. It's our dream. It's my dream for the next years to come. Because I'm very focused on building Brindavan. And so I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about the possibilities in the different countries that we exist in of having something like that. So we'll leave that for a little bit for the afternoon. But let's speak about Brindavan this morning and also speak about environmental awareness and how we as spiritual beings in the human experience can become a little bit more aware of our relationship with the environment and how we can use that to heighten our spirituality and our well-being. Shall we do that this morning? All right. So all those of you who are impacted by this message, let's take a few minutes to speak about what this means to you. Right? Yeah, so Haridas.
Namaskar Gurudev, Namaskar everyone. I think it's the first time that I get really excited. Before, when you used to speak about our relationship with the nature, yeah, I liked it, but I was not excited. Now I really feel it within me. And that's why, because I don't feel anymore that meditation means only to withdraw inside and to shut off the senses and everything. But real meditation, I feel that when I get up from the sitting meditation, I need to, it's including all the world around me. This is the real meditation.
All right, so that's kind of exciting for me because somebody said it, being in nature as a meditative process and how that can influence us. Yes, so I like that. But I want to ask you a question. Okay, so now you're becoming more interested, you're seeing a different dimension. But what does it do to you to make you act? Of course, you're saying that you're going to change your meditation in a particular way. How are you going to do that?
I mean, you spoke about the senses.
Right.
And how to use this is what excites me, like how to be as aware as possible using each one of the senses.
Wonderful.
Whilst interacting, whilst feeling the rays of the sun, whilst feeling every sense.
Okay, so you're standing now and you're speaking. How can you do that?
Well, I feel that I ground myself.
Do you? Is your feet holding the earth? Is it relating to the earth?
Yes, now I feel it.
Right. What else can you do?
I can feel the touch, how I hold the microphone.
Excellent, excellent.
And I can feel that I can look consciously through my eyes
Beautiful.
when I speak with you.
Beautiful.
And I'm also listening the space whilst speaking.
Right. So, how can you enhance that experience?
Only through my sadhana.
No, yeah. But if you breathe in your belly now, if you unlock your knees, if you tuck in the tailbone, just breathe into the belly, what happens? And you hold that, and as you hold the breath, you push your feet down. You push the energy in the feet down. You tense the body a little bit so you're holding the microphone and you can actually feel that you're really holding it. As though you don't want it to fall off. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so that's the way to be. So if in every action you can look for all the possibilities of really taking charge of the human experience, it can be incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we have Jenny. Yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar to you.
Guruji, this particular topic has resonated with me to let me know why I chose aging. I chose gerontology. Because as I told you many times, I was the only candidate that chose that. What you also taught us, I can't remember what session we were in, but I was at the ashram. And you spoke about the breathing coming from the root. But you were more focusing at that time on the sacral center and letting us know, what the purpose of that center. And in your guiding us, I remember walking it with you when you were guiding us through, pulling that Ujjayi. From the root, yes, but more from the sacral, because they're very close. And instead of doing the root lock, taking the breath along the sacral and bringing it up to the manas. I remember that specifically.
Yes.
And in moving with your guidance, I got a different effect. Sometimes here would heat up across the whole brow, but it didn't happen that way. And from that point, I changed the way in which I would manipulate Ujjayi. Instead of just bringing it to the gut, expand the gut, and then channel it, I went to the sacral instead. And you also told us where that sacral is important for creativity.
Yes.
And where that creativity is relevant to what now you just said about us now and the environment and how we use what we use.
Yeah, but it's a good point you're making there. But I want to
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about creativity,
Okay.
because I think it begs that question now. Now, we can become very creative in our thinking. We want to think out of the box, and we have a
Right.
passion for looking at all possibilities through our thinking.
Right.
Now, when you excite the sacral, guess what happens? The body gets excited. It's like almost falling in love in a physical way with the creativity.
Correct.
You feel it thrill through your bones, through your being. Now, if you only mental, you wouldn't feel that. But when you invoke the sacral chakra, it brings us falling in love with creativity. It becomes feeling the human passion during the creativity. And that's the beauty of it. You see the excitement with the whole human form, not just the mind.
Exactly.
And that is where we know that the sacral is shining in the experience.
Now, what that has done in relation to the topic today and the board meeting that I had last night on career guidance, most of us in the board are over 40, but we have two representatives who are two students, because it's from our alma mater, two students who are graduated, they are 18, and are now leaving to go into the world of work. And I just remembered, what the intuitive guidance brought, where aging is concerned. We, without knowing it, 50% of the globe is going to be over 60 and 65 in the next 20 years. So the world is aging. And these Gen Zs,
Now, I want to ask you a
Yeah.
question you flag where your thoughts are. But I just want to ask a question because we have people who are aging, we have people who are dying, and we have people who are being born. Do we have
Correct.
sufficient people being born to meet with aging and death? So do
That's
we have
where-
replenishment of the populations?
precisely, because what we are seeing, the demographics showing, many of the countries, developed as well as developing, are going in negative
Yeah.
growth rate because the women, the females, who are the reproducers, there's a correlation between the higher the education and the lower your birth rate.
But let me ask another question there. Is
Right.
infertility on the rise as well? Because of
As
the
well.
stress and the food and the toxicity?
Precisely. And now, what the epidemiologists have recognized from post-COVID, instead of focusing on the vulnerability of the elderly who were dying, with the ones mainly with comorbidities, they are now discovering that who comprise the waiting list for dialysis and heart failure are the 20 to 49,
Wow.
which are not the elderly now.
Wow.
But they are just between the generation, the millennials. So I am listening attentively to see my role, which is quietly shifting, while the cosmic shift is more tectonic underneath what we are moving towards. where we're being forced to see now the wisdom and intuition of these seniors that are present
Right. So
and living
does
in
it mean, to connect to the subject, does it mean then
Yes.
going back to nature and to wholeness is where the
Precisely.
solution is? Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing, and it is happening at a cosmic
Yeah,
rate.
yeah. This is a nice dimension. Thank you for the information.
Definitely, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to go too fine because,
No. Yeah, but
you
it's
can see
exciting
where
for
my
me.
tendency is going.
All
But
right,
I
so-
want to thank you, Guruji, for in terms of the subject at hand, for what I, as an advocate, that have to now sensitize and make the information
Yeah,
palatable.
yeah.
I have to now not be talking in terms of statistics and demographics, but
Yes.
bring it down to a form where it is understood and sensitive. And I also have to model it, and which is why I have to thank
Absolutely.
you, because I have to model. This is the change we have to see. We have to do it at multifaceted, multidimensional levels, and we have to go back to nature.
Exactly. Love it. And Jenny, you're demonstrating that. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Dr. Raluca.
Namaskar, Guruji.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, everyone. So I was so excited about the subject that I always feel like a little girl again. I was born and raised in a block of flat, but my father around the block make a little garden and taught me how to smell all the
earth.
things, the tomatoes, and I was raised by this, and I feel that I'm part of nature. When I walk on a path, I always go to the grass and find leaves.
But isn't it natural to the body that when we go back to nature, whether it's the water,
Yes,
the beach?
it's of course we as a human being, we are a species, and all the species on the earth must be connected with nature because nature are supporting them but we also must be in harmony with nature, and this is the only thing can bring us to another level. And then I heard Jenny, and I start to think about natality and how the number of newborn are decreasing. Europe,
Yes, and infertility as well.
Infertility,
due
yes.
to living
And
conditions.
I put myself this question, and I talk with my colleagues about infertility. Why are a lot of couples infertility and women are not becoming pregnant so easy?
Yes.
They are fighting with this. They invest a lot of money in fertilization in vitro, and God say no, you don't deserve a baby. And I think of myself, well, the universe is in his infinite intelligence. Don't allow us to bring more babies, maybe, on this earth until we clean it, until we heal it, because we destroy the nature, and it can no longer support us.
Yes.
So why to bring children in this world? And I put this with my question.
Agreed. But we need the population, so we need to bring the children.
Yes,
but we need to bring them in better conditions.
Of course.
And that's the work we have to do.
Yes, because for me, we start with nature. We start looking to the nature, healing the nature. We destroy it.
We have to do it now. We can't wait for the future.
No.
Yeah.
Because I talk with all around us. You know, Romania is in the middle of the conflict. There are two wars.
Yeah.
Near to our
But we in the
borders.
Blue Star are going to make a difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm sure with this, because I always said nature is the first thing that
thank
we
you.
think about.
Thank you, Dani Ji. Yeah, Jaidevi, you can come on now. I know you're at work, but it's good to have your contribution. Yeah, I just want to say that Jayadevi is very immersed in the Brindavan project, together with Dharini as well. And we'd listen to these two voices today.
Namaskar, Guruji. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone. Just to say that being a part of Brindavan lends a great resonance as to the future of the world, in the sense that we're so caught in developing and seeking material means of development that the nature and the natural life, natural living is put on the back burner. But to see that with your vision, Guruji, where you allowed this 52-acre parcel to be purchased, it's like when you go there, you could see the future of the world in Vrindavan. Because the more advanced we get, is the more we lose in terms of going back to nature, going to the soil. Because if we look at people who are more intuitive, who are more in touch with the earth, people of the soil, they are naturally intelligent, more than those who, well, myself included, more than those who have a university degree. Do people of the soil tend to know things that we wouldn't know? And having met some of them in the community, like the older folk in the Vrindavan community, they have this intuition about them, and it has to be from working with the soil. It has to be that they have access to some guides in the forest that the mundane person who into normal living won't have access to that unless we go back to nature, unless we go back to the soil, unless we experience the intelligence of nature, which is more lifetimes than human lifetimes. When I go to Vrindavan and I see the trees, and I often wonder how many centuries it'll take for this tree to be this big. It often allows me to reflect. I sent some pictures. I don't know if some pictures of Vrindavan could be shared as well as I speak, because when you see the magnitude of these trees, and if you touch them, they respond so much to love. If you were to hug them, if you were to just embrace a tree and just let your mind be vacant, it's an extremely expansive Anahata Chakra experience. And it's so powerful. The centuries of these trees living, it feels as if we are touching centuries of love. And it goes beyond this present moment. So in my interaction with Vrindavan, it feels as if we have so much to gain from the presence of the natural forest, the untouched, preserved natural forest. Yeah, this is an example of the top, the utmost top of the land, what we'd call the ridge. This is the top, and it's a tremendous view of Trinidad and its northern range. So you can see the pristine beauty of nature. And when we sit in any part of Vrindavan and you just close your eyes, I just want to welcome everyone. Please come and just sit. Just take this invitation to sit for 20 minutes and see if you can't feel as if Guruji is in your heart. See if you can't feel him in your being. As if you open your eyes, you'll feel he's in front of you. It happens a lot in Vrindavan. So I want to extend an invitation as part of the conference, if we could continue the conference by coming into Vrindavan and test to see if what I'm saying is true. Come in, don't feel the need to be anything or be anyone. Come with your natural, authentic soul being. And you're gonna feel this remarkable, immense power that I was referring to with the elders of the village in Vrindavan. They have this presence with them, this presence that we can't really explain. And I feel like that presence of the forest, the presence of the angels in the forest, the presence of Guruji as his omnipresent form, come into Vrindavan and feel it. You would be most gratified that you did.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you for the little picture as well. I know we have more pictures, hoping to see more. I know Darani will show some perhaps too. But Vrindavan sounds
Yeah.
exciting. But
I have one with the lingam. If they can put the one with your hands on the lingam. There's one with Guruji's hands on the lingam. He grew yesterday. He was sharing. This is such a beautiful photo. Yesterday, Guruji was sharing that when he puts his hands on the lingam, he can feel the universe. And when Guruji brought that lingam there, it represents universality in Vrindavan. It represents everyone, everything, everywhere. It's just total, all-encompassing. So that is a special picture for all of us. Just wanted to share it as well.
thank you so much, Jayadi. We deeply appreciate that. And we hope that
Yeah,
you
so
could come in.
looking forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your invitation to Brindavan. And like you were saying, it's not just the trees, right? But it's more the energy and the aliveness of these trees and the intelligence of the trees as well. To really appreciate that we are bonding, not just we are bonding with living beings, whether it's a tree or whether it's a little plant or a flower or vegetable. It's quite an experience, and the earth and the water. It's quite an experience to be in Vrindavan. I deeply appreciate that, and I know you spend quite a bit of time there, and I appreciate that as well. So your voice is a very inspiring one. Thank you so much, Devi.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar. And now, Suriti was, I see that her hand is up, and she has been part of Vrindavan in the early days. So yeah, go ahead, Suriti.
Namaskar, Guruji, everyone.
Namaskar.
Jaya Devi got my heart chakra spinning. Just talking about.
And by the way, Suriti is a wildlife biologist. So when we acquired Brindavan, it was like a joy for her because she always goes bird watching and she loves the forest and she taught me how to bond with the serpents. Can you imagine that? She taught me to be a lover of the serpent. Go ahead, Suriti.
I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I was friended by Gemma yesterday before the conference, and she was mentioning her fear of snakes, and we were chatting about that, and I said she should speak to you.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to bring up with regards to what Jaya Devi was saying is just the expansive energy, at least what I feel in nature, and that comes back, I think, to your talking about the karma experience. Like, I know this is my passion. This is where I'm meant to be. This is where I feel rooted in spirituality. I can see now, how this connects to my past lives. I'm sure there's Native American there, the way that resonated with me even as a child, some of the shamanic aspects, and even now in the way I've been branching out in herbalism. I got nervous. I went out and cut some passion flower leaves, added a little lavender flower, and I'm having a little tea now. Nature has everything we need, and when we're open to what's there, it comes to us. But the one other thing I wanted to bring up too was, it's not just the trees. If we could see the forest for the trees, the forest has so many layers. And we can't just look at saving a big tree. We have to look at the ground cover and the understory and the midstory and how everything works together as a system. Because if you take everything down but the big tree, big wind comes along and the tree goes. There's a connection of everything.
And there's the aspect of how roots communicate at another level. How the roots. Oh. That's a huge.
Yeah, the mitochondria. Not the mitochondria, the little. It's the. Oh gosh, I can't come up with them. It's fungus. There's a mycorrhizae. That's it, and it can literally connect forests through a mat of fungus. And they've seen, like, there's an aspen forest that is literally one organism. It's like the biggest organism on the planet.
Living being. Yeah. That blows my mind. So
yeah,
when you walk into the forest, for example, the trees will inform each other. The environment will inform each other as animals do. When you walk into the forest, animals communicate.
Yes, and like I'm noticing here, they're trying to make people put in grass when they build something. But you see the layer of it's leaves, and it's all leaves that's rotting, and you can see the white mycorrhizae going all through the leaf litter, and it's a big mat. This is holding the earth, this is the skin, not digging it up and digging down, working with the layers that are there, realizing how everything supports each other. And I did want to bring up real quickly too, that one of the things I'm focusing on now, there's a gentleman in New Jersey, it's the New Jersey Food Forest. I watch him on YouTube a bit. Everyone told him, you can't do vegetables and trees and fruits. And he's like, no, I'm going to mimic a forest. He brought in tons of wood chips, let it in. And now instead he has cherries and apples and hazelnuts, and then strawberries are the ground cover, and grapes are the vines.
Beautiful.
And he's mimicked ours.
I also want to see what we can grow differently in Brindavan as well. If we can grow the berries.
Yes. And two, working with wildlife, to what extent have we looked at? I know I ran into a creature when I was there, and I don't know, I think it might have been a peccary, but because my brain wasn't used to it, it saw a strange creature that ran off. And I'm like, we should know who our neighbors are.
Yeah.
And make sure.
Yeah, we saw some very interesting creatures in Vrindavan as well. All right, so we need to have a few more people speak. But thank you so much, Suriti. I know you'll be a part of the rest of the conversation in the day as well. So thank you so much for your contribution. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Krishna Priya?
Namaskar. Namaskar, Guru and everyone. I would like to bring the point of the nature being as a guru, as a teacher, that we can learn so much through it. And since I was little, I had this powerful connection with the nature that was like the divine for me, that I couldn't find it nowhere else, only in the nature, as much I was resonating. But I can see during the years working here in Brindavan, the power of the nature showing you that you have to also watch your balance, being balanced in the body, and how to adapt also. Because in the nature, we know the climate and the elements are so transformable all the time from one moment to the other. So the body responds to that, and we are not so accustomed for that, living in an environment where we use air condition and climate that it's very pleasing to our body and to our senses. Therefore, when we go in the nature and we see what is happening now in the environment with all the climate changes, how people are not thriving at all, and they are very affected by that, just because they don't have that power to adapt to these changes. And that's one point that I observe and I learn in nature. And also, the nature showing me the power always to regenerate and readapt. For example, sometimes we need to cut some bush or some trees or some parts of the overgrowth parts in the nature to support the other parts of the nature. And going back into the same place, I can see, for example, the cocoa trees are thriving and they are flourishing just because we release from the other obstacles, from the other elements coming to them. But I also see the vines when we cut them, and I don't know if you know here in Trinidad how the vines are overgrowing and taking over and wrapping all the trees around and create their own strength and power. But they also have a connection, so we cut them from the top, and I can see the ones that are coming from the bottom makes a link between the top and the lower one, and shoot the ones from the bottom shoot little vines to really hook to the other ones, just because they have that same connection. So seeing all the nature and all the creatures, even the shapes in the nature, how the energy is different in one part when you sit under a tree that have this kind of hole inside, how the energy is there, and in another part is just so amazing. Sometimes I think what we build up with our hands and with the power of our minds, we cannot be so perfect as the nature creates these shapes and these forms in the nature that even architecture are inspired, right? They create these towers and big buildings, many floors, just because they need more money to sell those parts or to rent, and they have to put so much steel just because that is not a natural type of structure. That for example, the domes, just building with the bricks, with the burn bricks, and leave the gravity falling naturally one on top of the other. You don't need to use steel, and that can live forever, and the energy is different. So all of these
it's completely
are just
fascinating.
So amazing. Yeah, I can just say that I think I said I will live until the birds will sing around me. when I hear no birds singing around me, I have no reason to be in this physical body.
Yeah,
because
we need the birds, we need the butterflies, we need
Yes.
all the animals.
And we need to support the nature.
Yeah, but I'm fascinated by what you spoke about buildings, and I hope that we can come in at some point to talk about that. But let's move on a little bit, Krishna Priya, but thank you for your inspiration. I want to call in Dharini now because of time. So Dharini, so Jayadevi spoke up to the subject of Vrindavan, and you are the one who've been working with nature in Vrindavan a whole lot. So can you come on, Dharini? Are you there? Can we bring on Dharini to speak about it, Vrindavan experience? Is she there or should we continue? But I'm not seeing her. Right, there we are. Yeah, namaskar Dharini, great to see you. We need you to unmute. Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, fantastic.
I was trying to collect some pictures because I didn't put in any pictures. But speaking about Vrindavan, the energies in Vrindavan. I have been there from inception. We hardly had anything going on for years. 5 people, 7 people going in, sometimes only 2 for a long period. But what kept us going within Vrindavan is those energies that we feel when we go in. It feels, well, we do our praying as well. Guru's presence is there. It may not be throughout, it is throughout the whole space, but the areas we work, we feel it much stronger. And the energy is just walking in whenever visitors come. If we just spend 5 minutes, everyone is always so thankful just to feel the energies of the earth, the space, the trees, to see the nature. It really is very, very amazing how we feel, and to continue, even though some people have asked us, why are you continuing? Nothing is happening at this point in time, because we were quite a few years without anything much going on, but except for collecting the cocoa and the bananas. But that energy that you feel, you can't replace that. That's your energy for the week when you go on a Saturday and we spend 4 hours. We energize ourselves for the whole week with the space, the energies of the space, the animals that we find. Frogs, the anteater was one of our best.
Yeah, I hope we can have a picture of it because it was exciting to see this anteater.
Yes, I'm looking for him. When I come off back, I'll be looking for him again.
Yeah.
The anteater, we see all these frogs, the birds, listening to the monkeys, or even sitting down. Ramdas and I sat down a month or so ago and looked at one monkey climbing up a bamboo branch, looking for his food, coming back and sitting. It is so beautiful just to connect with them, and he's not afraid of us. He just sits down there and eating his stuff and climbing back again.
That's what I like.
The energies in Vrindavan, and I wish more and more people can come just to feel this.
And they will, and they will.
See the scenery. Yes, Guru, with your presence, I know everyone is coming.
And my promise is that after my birth anniversary of this body, of course, I'm going to be more focused on Vrindavan.
Yes, but with the road coming in, it is so easy as well for us now.
Yeah.
Easy driving, come in, and we can spend the time we would have spent walking and carrying stuff. We can now spend 5 minutes doing an opening meditation and stuff before we start.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Really, really, really something for everyone to experience. For those who have not been as yet, please come, including Haridas. I've kept begging him, and he's like, no, I need to be in the ashram to meditate. So
he's getting excited now. Yeah, thank you, Dharini.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, in the 80s, because of the vision that I had, I went to a bookstore and I found a book called Finhorn. And when I read the book, I was, oh my God, I was so touched by the project that they did in Scotland with this agricultural community that was in an area that was difficult to cultivate crops, but how to work with the intelligence of the forest, with the devas and the plants, and they really created a thriving agricultural community simply by working in collaboration with these spirits of the forest, guardians of the forest. And so we may not realize it, but if nature has guardians, nature has guardian angels, nature has a spirit, and it's tremendously exciting when we can communicate with them. So whenever I go to Brindavan, that's where my consciousness is, to welcome the forest, to welcome the life forms in nature. And I especially love to be with the water and with the earth in Brindavan. It's awesome. Yeah, so thank you so much, Dharini. I appreciate that. I see Chandika here. Would you like to say a few things about your experience in Vrindavan? Just come up front because you are one of the young ones.
Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar,
You have to
everyone.
be in a space where the camera can pick you up.
I think being in Vrindavan, I know physically I feel like I haven't been in this space, but it's so much more resonating with me now. Because of your vision, because of how strongly everyone involved in a project holds it, it's inspiring me every time I listen to.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was just thinking now, I need to speak out my thoughts. You know, there's a timeline for everything.
Yeah.
So like Dharini was saying, for years we had Brindavan, but all we do is bring the crops out or spend time there and just enjoy the forest itself. But it seems the time has come now, because where we got 2 roads done, the money came in to help us, and now I'm drawn to Brindavan, and I'm looking forward in the short term to create the buildings in Brindavan, to create the security of the borders, and to breathe in Vrindavan. So that excitement is growing inside of me. So does it mean now that this is the karmic time for Vrindavan?
Yeah, exactly, Guruji, exactly. I'm even getting excited about, you talked to me about research opportunities even in Vrindavan, and to me, like, how nature can help with the climate change. Like, there's a new area, nature-based solutions, that I'm starting to get interested in. So I want to know, how can I incorporate that in Vrindavan, like even in future studies or something like that. So the excitement is building in that way for me, and working with communities in work is kind of that socio-ecology. How can I expand that even into Vrindavan? So I'm seeing the alignments coming in to play and the excitement building. So thank you, Guruji.
Yes, thank you very much. And just to say that Dharini, who we just listened to, is studied agriculture. So she's into agriculture. And Chandika, who we just spoke to on the youth side, she's into environmental science. And of course, Jaya Devi is into planning. She's an electrical engineer, working with planning department and renewable energies. And she's also a master planner. So the team is growing marvelously with all the support systems. So Brindavan has a life of its own, and that's what I would like to say. Yeah, I see Mahesh wants to speak, so go ahead.
Namaskar everyone, Namaskar Guruji. So it was a joy to Jaya Devi because I love Brindavan and I have all the memories from there. And same, like I'm living now in the forest, and nature helps me to ground my energies. Though I'm using also the channel and connecting to the manas, but getting into the water is just suits the whole system. Staying with the feet on the ground, it just makes such a big difference. So it's just a kind of cooperation. I'm inspired to do it again and again and again. So Harry, just go into the forest. It's beautiful there. Thank you so much, Guruji.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, yeah, Professor Nitsa, Romania. Yeah. Yeah. Let's have him. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaskar.
Namaskar to you.
I would like to share 4 or 5 ideas
Yes, sure.
linked with your questions and the answers and linked with your ideas. First point that I would like to share is that in Romania we are using the Trinity principle. Not only the Trinity of Christianity, God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but also a Trinity like mineral kingdom, vegetal kingdom, and animal kingdom. It's like a triangle regarding from the point of view of the geometry. So this is nature. 3 kingdoms, 3 principles, and in the middle we can put humankind in the middle of the triangle.
Well, humankind is part of the animal kingdom, right?
Yes, yes, but I wanted just to make the differentiation, like you said, between the consciousness of the humans and the consciousness of the animals, the conscious of vegetables, kingdom, and so on. So if we are starting from this triangle principle, we can speak about bodies, human bodies, and the senses. I'm speaking now like an engineer and a researcher, like a mechanical engineer you are. We can consider that our senses, human senses, are the transducers of the human body. So human body has 5 senses, classical senses, and we can consider these senses as transducers. Every transducer has a sensor. I'm speaking like a mechanical engineer and trying to use comparison and analogy as a method.
Yeah, Professor Nitsa is an engineer,
Yes.
and also a communication expert as well, business communication and also engineering. So, yeah, thank you for your way you see things.
Yes, so I'm thinking.
But let's talk a little bit about intelligence, right? I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Certainly, we know that the plant world is intelligent in its own way, right? So are the animals, and human, of course, is at the top in terms of the intelligence and consciousness. But what about the mineral kingdom? What about the mineral kingdom? Do you think that there's an intelligence in there?
Yes, of course, I consider that there is a very strong intelligence belonging to the mineral kingdom. Why? Because for us, our perception is that mineral kingdom, they are witness. They are in the observant state all the time, but they are growing so slowly. We have a period of living on 120 years.
But in the subatomic structure, in the subatomic, there's movement and there's intelligence. And not only that, what happens, Professor Nitsa, is that the emanations also shows that they have a property of aliveness.
Yes, and they have an energetical field.
Yes, absolutely.
And this field is also made by biophotons, by light.
Right.
This field,
But
everything is light.
that's why we can have semiconductors and use them in computers and all that, right? Because there's a
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. So their intelligence is now mixed in our human body. Why? Because I consider that sometimes the mind is forcing senses and the mind is ordering to the senses and does not allow the senses to, to be freedom.
yeah.
Other times the senses are upon the mind. And other times when the senses are very well balanced with our human mind, then starting from here, we can develop the, the spreading, the spreading of the fields,
Right. So
energetical
that is the
fields.
work of Vasudeva, and that's the work of the Blue Star.
Yes, yes, this is your work. This is why I'm following you
And
all
I'm
the
glad that you're
time.
excited about that. Professor Nitsa has been following me for a long time,
Yes,
and always around me whenever I go to Romania. He's my dedicated driver, and he goes everywhere I go. And he has taken me to the television stations, and he has me speaking in the other universities as well. So
yes.
I appreciate your joy
May
of
I,
being in Blue
may
Star.
I
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
another 20 seconds, please?
Sure.
Here in Romania, there is the first scientist all over this world, a lady, an academician, Romanian lady. She passed away many 20 years ago, and Marioara Godano. And she made researches and she proved that the forest and the people, they interact, and she put the basis of energetically communication from the point of view of a researcher, because she discovered, using equipment, she discovered that when a man or a woman wants to make something bad to a tree, all the forest immediately know, and all the forest, they announced each another tree. It's a network communication. So we can speak about energetically communication. And there is this researcher, there is
Yes.
even movie.
Yes.
It's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
So that is why I sustain your project in the
Yes.
middle of the forest.
Absolutely.
And
I
I
love your
remember
excitement.
I remember when you were healing me when I was in Trinidad. You told me go back in the middle of the forest as much as you can, and there you'll find your new balancing state.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Professor
Thank you
Nitsa.
very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah,
I have to thank you.
yeah. Thank you. So there's a tremendous amount of excitement about the subject, but I don't want you to forget of how important the human senses are, and the spiritual anatomy is, and how we really need to improve the consciousness and the soul's abilities, soul powers, so that we can really explore the beauty of nature through our souls. And I'm tremendously excited. But I want you to know, in the years ahead, that's what I'm going to be focused on. It has to become the human and the environment operating as one. And how can we, using higher consciousness, create the perfect environment, which I want for Vrindavan, that can model that as a global center for well-being. Here we have a center for well-being, but in nature we'll have the most beautiful global center for well-being. So Vrindavan will become that kind of center, where the ecology is given primary attention, and our abilities to communicate with all of nature. But for me, that's a passion that I have, and I want to see that realized in Vrindavan. And I know that all of you here with me and listening to me innately know this in your heart, how better we feel when we are in nature. But what are the dynamics that make us be like that? That our bodies can become nourished by nature. The sun has an impact on us. Water has an impact on us, and all the elements have an impact on us. How can we really appreciate that to the fullest? So my spirituality has brought me into that awareness. But how can we all engage in a society or a community where we have a heightened awareness of environment and create a kind of synergistic model energetically of living in the light, in the environment as part of us? I think it's the future of the world. Because when we look at the kind of food we are eating, when we look at the infertility of people, when we look at the mortality rate of people, when we look at how diminished our powers become, how dull they become when we live in this kind of urban world, city life and concrete jungle, we lose our sensitivity to the earth and to the elements and to life. And that doesn't augur well for humanity. Because as you could see when we spoke about gerontology there, the population growth is lessening because more people are dying than more people are being born. And certainly that is distressing because we need a populated world. And so I don't know if anybody would like to say anything, but we're coming closer to the end of the morning session. Any thoughts from here? Yeah, Sandhya? So remember the subject is environmental awareness and sustainable community. How can we live in a sustainable community?
Namaskar everyone. Namaskar Gurudev. I just wanted to bring in the perspective of youth and transformative education.
Not today.
Not today?
No, not today.
Okay.
Unless it has a bearing on the subject of today.
It does.
Go ahead.
So when I used to work in like the school system, I was part of an outdoor education center where we worked with like at-risk youth. So they were not engaged in their families and their relationships in their world. And it was like these semester-long programs where they were, it's good. Semester-long programs where they were in, it was like a forest school. So it was in the forest. They cooked their own meals. There was like a micro gardening, all vegetarian. They learned about the principles of vegetarianism. There was like reflection, so like forest bathing wasn't officially like meditation or yoga.
Beautiful.
But and then there was like canoeing and team building, and I just wanted to reinforce the restorative influence nature has on people. And I know that today is not about education and transformative
No.
education.
This one is important because it's also an education experience, right? Being in Brindavan, for example. So, but tomorrow we can bring in the subject a little more, right? Because we're speaking about transformative education, holistic education. How can we educate our youngsters in a whole different way than we are doing now? Why it is important to educate the young ones, and why does it take a village to educate somebody? So we are all responsible for the young ones and how they grow up.
And you just had the youth camp just like a few weeks ago, and you were working with some kids from all over the community, all walks of life and background, and they have an interest for that community to be engaged. They just need the support to get there, and like nature, and I think a lot of what Blue Star does is showing that.
Yeah. Okay, so would anybody else like to speak? Oh yeah, and Salma is a biologist, a retired school teacher. Yeah, we have a problem. Just wait a second until
Yeah, I was so inspired to come here this morning because being a teacher of biology, this is all up my field, really. And having lived just a few miles away from Asa Wright Nature Center, I've been...
Are we able to pick her up?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Having lived, I'm living just a few miles away from Asa Wright, so that has been my kind of environment to explore for many, many years. What really struck me this morning, though, is when you talked about there's a timeline for everything. Simply because when I first came here in the year 2000, and there was a week seminar, you asked me to do a lecture on environment. And I was, what can I say? I didn't know what to say. But then we came up with an idea of developing environmental consciousness. And I see that basically, in terms of timeline, Brindavan is going to be part of that, building that environmental consciousness to a great extent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
For me,
I am very happy to be part of it as much as I can.
Yeah, for me it's going to be where we will use the environment for education as well, because I do believe that the future of education doesn't only involve finding a job, just studying the sciences and arts for finding a job, but it has to do about educating us to live in a different world. Right. So it has to be holistic, and environment has to be part of the teaching.
And may I say, Sudhiti, I haven't seen her for a long time, but we had lots of interesting trips while she was here, going on bird hikes and bird watching adventures and a number of other things. So it's so nice to see you here again, Sudhiti. And hopefully we will connect again when you come next to Trinidad.
Yeah, thank you so much, Salma. All right, so but sharpening our senses and really learning about the manas is what will give us that kind of desire to really bond with nature a little more. If we can really get in touch with our bodies as part of nature, if we can really feel the earth element in our body, water element in our body, fire element in our body, air element in our body, space element in our body, then it can be an incredible experience of being. Perhaps I would choose the meditation of the noon, the short meditation, to just take you into that awareness of how you can make the senses part of your meditation. Because I always do. Whenever I sit to meditate, I'm fully in my body, because I can live in the different worlds at the same time. So I love to be fully in my body without losing the inner space. And that for me is incredibly beautiful at the middle of the day to energize my body through all my senses as well. Yeah? So I think I'll do that now as we almost into the last 15 minutes of the morning session. But I am happy to see that you all have stayed with me. You all find the conversation interesting, and the afternoon conversation is going to be even more so, because we'll divide in groups with a theme. So I'm also looking forward to the afternoon. But now, let me take you into this meditation where you can appreciate the Manas Chakra, and you can appreciate really feeling the presence of elements in your own body's constitution. Let's sit in a posture of meditation. And the internal posture in the consciousness is that of the observer. So can you center in the peaceful observer? And become aware that sense of I am meditating, I am observing, That is the ego. So can you center in this beautiful ego experience of I am peaceful? And expand that I. Can that I become we? Where we can feel group consciousness, all of us together. Can that I become we? Can we shift into a we are? I am, we are. Now can you experience a gross body? Just go down to the root area, to the Muladhara chakra. Just breathe into the Muladhara area. And if you are energetically aware, you can pull the energy of Muladhara. And if you're not so energetically aware, just pull the muscle, contract the muscle of the perineum, until you can actually feel connected to the body structure. Muladhara chakra connects you to the body structure, its physical structure. Just breathe into Muladhara and breathe out just from there. Just contract the glutes, the thighs, the feet, and relax on the out breath. Just building the consciousness of being in the body. And now lengthen your breath. Just push the air out so that you can breathe out completely. And gently pull the air in through the nostrils. And focus at the Manas chakra, at the center of the eyebrows. So if you're truly in Manas, you will actually connect to the root. So these are two polar points. So just breathe from that root center that you activated right up to along the spinal column to the Manas. And as you breathe out, take your attention down the spinal column. Breathing out completely at the belly and going down to the root. And when you breathe in, as you open up the belly, open up the chest, open up the shoulders, take your attention along the spinal column, right up to Manas. And if you were to just lift the chin a little bit and focus on the Manas, on the medulla, it's one energy point, you will have the most beautiful experience of an energized spinal column. Let the breath flow in rhythm, no haste, just gentle push and pull of the breath. Using Ujjayi to manage the breath. And then open the heart for another dimension to this experience. Opening the heart brings another warmth to the body. So love flows into the space, a love that warms up the body. So you can experience the pranic energy of the emotional being. And the relationship it has to your skin and touch. If you open up your palms, you feel the palms, center of the palms become warm. And your skin becomes a little more energetically warm. And as you breathe with Ujjayi, you can open the nostril to bring more air if you feel like bringing more air, because you need to be present, moment aware, fully present, and bringing more oxygen to the brain can help you to do that. And when you breathe out completely, because you want to breathe away excess of carbon dioxide. So the blood must have a carbon dioxide oxygen balance. And then you will feel a clarity, aliveness in the body. Now if you open the belly with the breath, focus on the belly opening, you will feel that your digestive power heightened and the sense of seeing, sensing the light heightened. Now, do you know that when you breathe into the belly, that you communicate with your cells, your body cells, in a more powerful way? Now be conscious as you breathe out as well. Hridaya, no need to move the body. Stay in a consciousness of holding the entire body under your control. You keep your posture. And if you breathe into the throat, that can give you an expansive experience of space. Space of being. It brings a silence of mind. That's beautiful. And if you come down to the sacral area, it's a nourishing area. Let's breathe into the sacral with brow consciousness, with manas consciousness, and this beautiful energy will be added to the space. So sacral to heart and to brow, and it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now you're celebrating your spiritual consciousness, expansive, loving, intuitive, divinely connected. And by connecting to the root and the sacred, you experience the beauty of the body itself. So you're experiencing the body, but yet from a dimension of endless being, endless love, endless peace. So you're being totally integrated from spirituality to physicality. And now you're experiencing the wholeness of being. Now you should be able to see which area might be lacking. And if you just focus on that area, whether it's the throat or the heart or the gut as you breathe, it will bring you into a sense of wholeness of being. So this is restorative. It's nourishing. It's strengthening. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful. It's incredible to feel we have co-created. I can feel you, and I know that you can feel me, and we can feel each other. It's absolutely magnificent. It echoes the consciousness that we are one in spirit. and strengthens the feeling that we are one family in the divine. Just allow yourself to enjoy this. If you feel like bringing a mantra in the mind to resonate there, you can do so. So thank you everyone for a beautiful morning here in Trinidad. And we look forward to the afternoon, which is going to include conversation. And of course, we'll direct the conversation with our theme for the afternoon. So I look forward to seeing you. I completely enjoyed your meditation with me, because I could feel the oneness of us. And I'm glad when you can include the body in the meditation, when you can really appreciate the elements of nature in the body and make that communication with the earth, with the water, with the fire, with the air, with the space, and with your mind. It's absolutely exquisite. And if you can live in greater awareness of your body as a creature and your soul as the power behind it, then you can have a very, what shall I say, masterful and experience of living in the body. And that's the goal. How can we really use this body masterfully and fully? How can we do that? For me, it's a tremendous joy that when I take up my drink, I can actually enjoy just drinking this, whether it's water or tea. I can enjoy every sip of it in the human body with my soul. And if you're going to eat now, can you eat your food in that awareness, that you can completely enjoy your food? Now you ground yourself in the root, because you want to ground yourself in the experience of the taste and smell and seeing. Those three are important in the food. And then the company, the love, and then the mind eating quietly and being together. Even if you speak, there should still be silence, the great listening at the back of your mind. You know, we love to sometimes be in a little conversation while we speak, but it's not a conversation that is just baseless. It must have peace and love, and the speaking must happen as though we are one, in that oneness of being. So that can be an incredible experience if you can speak and yet feel the silence and the beingness and the love. So living consciously in the human experience, enjoying the human experience fully, can be incredibly joyful. And I think that contributes in a big way in keeping us well and healthy. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy a meal, those of you here, and enjoy your little break, those of you who are with us. We're going to come back at 2 o'clock, at 2 p.m., my time. Anything you'd like to say, Shreya?
It's been tremendously exciting, and that we have a lot to discuss in the afternoon.
Yeah, what excited you about the morning?
Guru, I've always struggled with you do it in every meditation. You have us connect with the senses. You have us connect with the elements. And I've struggled with that because I understand it with my mind, but I haven't felt it so much as when I was reading and internalizing it this morning, that feeling and experience of how we operate through the senses and what that means for our connection to the earth and everything around us. And I finally started to feel it. And then in the meditation just now, you taking us through every level gave me the taste of it. And so that's what's exciting me the most. It's just when you put something out there, Guru, it's amazing how it can spark that immediate learning, immediate feeling, immediate experience. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I can't wait to talk about it this afternoon.
Yeah. So far it's been a great series, the conference, and I look forward to the afternoon session. Thank you everyone for being a part of it this morning. Namaskar.